In this video, we discuss different types of auto insurance coverage in the state of Texas that are available to pay for the total loss or repair of your car. We're going to discuss liability, collision, comprehensive, and underinsured motorists in the state of Texas. But generally, if the other person is at fault and has insurance, you can claim on their liability policy or your collision policy if you have it. If the other person is at fault and has no insurance, then you can claim on your uninsured motorist or collision policy if you have those coverages. If you cause the wreck, you can only claim on your collision policy if you have that coverage. If your car is damaged by theft, weather, or an animal, you can claim on your comprehensive coverage if you paid for it. My name is Christopher Raymond, and I'm an attorney with Tate Law Office. My practice focuses on personal injury and wrongful death cases, but we get calls all the time from people who aren't hurt but need help with their property damage claims. These videos are intended to be informational, created to help people who aren't hurt with their property damage claims. This video, like all of our videos, is indexed, so you can skip ahead to the part that helps you the most. So first, liability insurance. You have to understand that liability insurance is based upon fault. That is negligence. If you're driving your car and you negligently cause a wreck with another car, then your liability insurance will pay for the other person's property damage. When does liability insurance apply? So you can use liability insurance when one person causes damage to another person's property. If you're at fault, it pays the other person. If the other person is at fault, then their liability coverage pays you. There are some downsides to liability claims. The liability insurance carrier will perform an investigation. They want to make sure that their insured is at fault before they pay claims. They will want to talk to their driver. They'll want to get the police report. They may insist that you provide a recorded statement. And there's no law that puts a limit on the amount of time that a carrier has to perform this investigation. This means the investigation can take sometimes a lot of time, all the while your car isn't being repaired or totaled and you don't have a rental car. The liability carrier can also assert defenses against you, and these include alleging that you are at fault or partially at fault. This means that they can deny your claim or only offer to pay for part of the damages. If this is happening to you, please see our other video regarding defenses. Here are some of the upsides to making a liability claim. If the liability carrier accepts fault, then they should pay for 100% of the repair cost or the total loss. There's no deductible. They should also pay for a rental car during the reasonable time of repair or replacement. Finally, if your car is repaired, they're liable to you for diminished value. If you're interested in diminished value, please see our other video on that topic. Finally, it's not a claim on your insurance, which most people are reluctant to make. Now we're going to discuss collision coverage. Collision coverage is insurance coverage you buy to cover your car. It isn't required in Texas, so you have to pay some extra money for it. When does collision coverage apply? You need to read your policy for the specific coverage, but generally, collision coverage pays for any collision, regardless of fault. Typically, hail or other weather-related damage or damage caused by an animal are excluded under the collision coverage. But if someone hits you or you hit someone or something, then collision coverage in Texas should pay. What does collision coverage pay for? It pays for the repair or total loss of your car minus a deductible. Deductibles in Texas typically range from $500 to $1,000, but you need to check your own policy to know what yours is. What doesn't collision coverage pay for? A rental car. Collision coverage also doesn't pay for diminished value. When do you make a claim on your collision policy? First, if you caused the collision. Second, if you don't want to wait for the other liability carrier to perform their investigation. If the other person was at fault and doesn't have insurance and you don't have underinsured motorist coverage, you could also make a claim on your collision policy. The big upside to collision is there's no waiting for the other person's insurance company to investigate. It's your insurance. So the defenses that can be asserted against you are greatly limited or eliminated. Generally, the law says your insurance carrier has to treat you with good faith and fair dealing. And this isn't the case with the other person's liability insurance. They can deny your claim on many grounds, even weak ones. What are the downsides to using collision policy? Well, there's a deductible. It's also a claim on your insurance, and people generally don't like to make those. Know that if you make a claim on your collision policy and the other person is at fault and they have insurance, then your collision policy can and should go to the at-fault driver's insurance and get repaid, and that includes your deductible. Third, we're going to discuss underinsured motorist coverage. When does underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage apply? When you're hit by someone else who's at fault, but they don't have insurance or they don't have enough insurance to pay for the loss. What does under or uninsured motorist pay for? Your underinsured or uninsured motorist coverage will pay for damages that you are, quote, legally entitled to recover from the at-fault driver. This means that your insurance will act like the at-fault driver's insurance. So one of the upsides of making an uninsured motorist claim is that your carrier is going to pay for the repair or total loss. And by statute, the deductible is limited to $250. Underinsured motorist or uninsured motorist should pay for your rental car, and it should also pay for diminished value if your car is repaired. What's the downside? The legal entitlement language means that your underinsured motorist carrier can assert defenses against you just like the at-fault driver's insurance. What if you have both collision and uninsured motorist and the at-fault driver is not insured? Which do you pick? Then you can pick either collision or underinsured motorist coverage. Under these circumstances, you would need to think about your situation and decide which is best. For instance, if your underinsured motorist carrier is not offering to pay for 100% of the repair because they say you are partly at fault, you might want to make the claim against your collision coverage because that isn't a defense to paying the collision claim. Or if you think your underinsured motorist coverage is going to pay 100%, then it might be better to make a claim there as opposed to the collision coverage because UM only has a $250 deductible. These decisions become case specific, so there's no simple answer. Finally, what does comprehensive coverage pay for? Comprehensive typically pays for damage caused by weather-related events, animals, theft, and vandalism. So to conclude, if the other person is at fault and has insurance, you can claim on their liability policy or your collision policy if you have it. If the other person is at fault and has no insurance, then you can claim on your uninsured motorist or collision policy if you have those coverages. If you cause the wreck, you can only claim on your collision policy if you have that coverage. If your car is damaged by theft, weather, or an animal, you can claim on your comprehensive coverage if you paid for it. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, please look for our other informational videos on Texas auto property damage claims and stay safe out there.